Welcome to our 5 on 5. Pleased to welcome back U.S. Congressman Cliff Benz. Congressman, thanks for joining us today.
It's great to be here.
So you're seeking re-election for the first time. What's your biggest accomplishment in your nearly 2 years in office?
Well, I think it's being asked to be ranking member on water, oceans, and wildlife, and that's given me an opportunity to bring attention of the nation to the challenges in the water-related space, such as down in the Klamath, and of course across the western United States. So all the years and work of being on the Water Resource Commission here in Oregon and then in the Oregon legislature on water has paid off.
And I believe if your party is able to flip the House, you become the chairman of that committee, correct?
Well, that's my hope, and I think there's a high probability of that happening, but the American people, of course, have to choose to put we Republicans in the majority, and I hope they do that in about, 26 days? We're hopeful.
So why should voters send you back to Washington for a second term?
Well, it's a great question, and I'm very, very happy to say that because of the relationships I've been able to establish in the first year and 10 months, I believe I can actually get things done in Washington, D.C., and those things would include, I hope, getting back into the forest, coordinating with Bruce Westerman, who's ranking member of the Natural Resource Committee, in hopefully getting some of the huge buildup of fuel removed from the forest. And finally, after years of you folks here in this beautiful, beautiful Medford, Grants Pass area suffering from smoke, perhaps we'll be able to help. So I think that's probably the main reason to send me back.
The January 6th committee voted today to subpoena former President Trump. Have you been following the events of the day in Washington?
I saw that early this morning. I saw that they were going to vote on it. Since that time, I have not checked up on it. No.
You've previously said, and I believe this vote was just taken days into office for you, but you've said the 2028 presidential election wasn't stolen and that Biden won. But at the same time, you said you acted on principle and followed the Constitution when you voted against certifying Pennsylvania's election.
Correct.
Do you regret that vote, or do you stand by it?
Oh, I do not regret that vote. I stand by it. The situation in Pennsylvania was reflective of voting irregularities that I think violated the United States Constitution. 3 Supreme Court justices, I believe, agreed with me when Pennsylvania situation was brought before them, and they just needed one more, and the matter would have been before the Supreme Court. That is the quality of the voting process in Pennsylvania. No, I did the right thing, bringing that matter to the attention of the American people, and also I think doing my job as someone who had just sworn to uphold the United States Constitution.
I believe the 9,400 Pennsylvania votes that you were concerned about were set aside at the direction of the Supreme Court as a body. Is that correct?
Well, so I don't know about the 9,400 votes. I would suggest that the voting irregularities extended far beyond just those 9,400 votes. And in fact, that's why the 3 Supreme Court justices suggested and asked that the challenge of those votes be reviewed by the Supreme Court. So I think there's far more going on incorrectly in Pennsylvania than those 9,400 votes.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll have much more in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Congressman Cliff Benz. Congressman, Senator Lindsey Graham came under fire by some in your party after proposing a bill to ban most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. You're pro-life. If your party gains control of Congress in the midterms, would you support a nationwide ban on abortion?
Probably not, and the reason is that I don't think a nationwide ban is constitutional. And the Supreme Court just held, in fact, in reversing Roe versus Wade, that this was a matter for the states. To suggest that Congress should almost immediately after the Supreme Court has held this as a matter for the states suddenly suggest a ban seems to me to be the inappropriate way of approaching this issue. Yes, I am right to life. I always have been. There are better ways to approach this challenge than a nationwide ban. And Craig, the challenge in the abortion space is to make sure that whatever you do, you encourage more people to agree with you. And so it's a very, very, very challenging space, and one that I'm sure that each state is better suited to try to address than having we in Congress try to do a top-down solution to a very difficult problem.
As we deal with high gas prices, you've said America should be energy independent. Where should we be drilling?
The proper approach, if there is such a thing, is to look at all things energy and do the very, very best we can to encourage more energy production. I just came back from Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I met with Chevron and with other oil companies and reviewed with them some of the incredible delays the Biden administration has imposed upon them in the permitting processes. And so we need to address that. We need to address it right now. And I hope, should we be blessed with the majority, we Republicans, in a few weeks, that we can do something about that.
Last month, Klamath County Clerk warned the community that people were knocking on doors claiming to be election canvassers. And she warned that members of the group were handing out business cards identifying themselves as an integrity group. Similar incidents have been reported in Douglas, Lane, and Columbia counties in Oregon. It's been 2 years since then President Trump started planting seeds of doubt in his race against Joe Biden by saying he was worried about voter fraud, which is extremely rare. But I guess my question is, are you happy with where our country's elections are heading?
Well, I don't know if happy is quite the right word. I would suggest that I just visited the county clerk up in Josephine County, and she took us through the election process, and it was very impressive. The county clerks in many of my counties, in fact, as far as I know, all of them have been doing their very, very best to make sure that votes are appropriately counted. I'd be far more worried about people not voting. I think folks need to get out and vote. And I believe that the issues that have been brought to the attention of many people across the nation regarding voting irregularities are being addressed. And I think our system is becoming better all the time. It'll never be perfect, but it's improving.
Well, I know you've got a busy schedule where you're in town. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.